in order for us to even think of constitutional amendments that will be able to, one, confer complete independence to the various arms of the government. Because there's been a lot of judicial activism, interference with the other arms of the government. Look at it in the last term, where the president, after recruitment of the police, the president has ordered that they go and report. And the court rules that it has to be redone again. Here, the people's verdict that the President Kenyatta has been elected by the majority votes. People, three or four judges sit in the Supreme Court and say, no, it has to go the other way. And yet, we have those who dissented. So, Mr. Speaker, these are challenges that this House has to grapple with, and as legislators, we need to start thinking of making constitutional amendments. For one, to make sure that even the presidency is protected. Because if you are president and you make an order, and some people sit somewhere and make a judgment that overrules that, how do we respect that presidency? So, Mr. Speaker, I think with those few remarks, it's a food for thought, is the way to go, and the 12th Parliament must stand to be counted. With those few remarks, thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member for Garissa. Well, Garissa County Women Representative, if I'm not wrong, yes, I thought so. Are you member for Garissa County? Wajir. It's you I'm actually referring to.
Sorry? Oh,
proceed.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm Honorable Fatuma Gedi from Wajir, County Women MP Wajir. Let me also join my colleagues in congratulating the members. And also let me congratulate the Speaker and you for the elections, and also the majority leader and the women elected MPs. Mr. Speaker, I also want to take this opportunity to congratulate the great people of Wajir County for giving me this opportunity and also having faith in me. And also I want to congratulate them for electing His Excellency, the President. Mr. Speaker, I also want to congratulate and thank the President in providing his statesmanship speech, and also showing leadership in his speech. Mr. Speaker, in President's speech, he talked and actually acknowledged the women leadership and the efforts women made in youth in the last election. Mr. Speaker, the President actually talked about, and he mentioned this to the world, that there is no vacuum and his administration is unshakable. I also want to thank him for showing us the leadership, and he also asked us to unite Kenyans, and he did that, and he has showed that. And I also want to urge our supporters across over the country, and especially the people of Wajir, to support the President on 17th, because we know now we have the tyranny of numbers, but on 17th we also want to show our opponents that we are going to have the tyranny of the ballot. And that one, on 17th, we're very confident that the President is going to win. Lastly, and I also want the way our leaders, the President and His Excellency, the President and His Excellency, the Deputy President, always reminded us as Jubilee to always preserve peace and unite Kenyans. We will also demonstrate that. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member for Tharaka Nithi. Members, you will all have your time this morning because we still have chance for about 35 members. So be patient. Honorable Member for Tharaka Nithi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. I tried yesterday, I couldn't manage, but I really thank you today. Mr. Speaker, let me take this opportunity to thank the people of Tharaka Nithi for giving me another chance. Among the 47 women, we are only 10 who survived. So I really want to say thank you for seeing that I'm capable of serving them again 5 years. And I want to tell them what I was not able to do the 4 years, I'll try my best to do this particular time, 5 years. I want to assure them that I'm going to work with the people, with the other leaders of the Tharaka Nithi County so that we can be able to move forward together. I want to take the same opportunity to congratulate the Speaker, Honorable Muturi, the Deputy yourself, for being given another chance to work with us. Mr. Speaker, when we went through the presidential speech, and I want to say it again as I've been saying, I had an opportunity to be in charge of the presidential speeches for many years, but this particular one was very short and very precise because the president was very keen on the peace of this country, the security, and the unity. Mr. Speaker, we always talk about developing our economy. We cannot develop our economy if we have no peace in the country. We cannot develop our economy if the peace of the country is not at its best. We cannot develop if we are not united. We have to be united, and I want to tell my colleagues here, we have a responsibility to keep peace all the time. Mr. Speaker, our president was elected in 2013, and I want to tell him, those people who elected in 2013, they are still there, and they are going to elect him again next month. We are going to come out in big numbers, and this time we are looking for 75% and above. I'm telling my colleagues in the opposition, Mr. Speaker, they are coming in of taking tea, doing this and that. We are telling them, the Bible says, if you can't work, we can't eat. I don't know why they are thinking that there is a vacuum in this country. There is no vacuum, and I want to repeat, the president said that there is no vacuum, there is no laguna, the country is going forward, and we are progressing with them or without them, and we are going to continue. Mr. Speaker, I want to remind my colleagues here, we have a duty, we have a responsibility to sustain and protect the peace and security of our people without exception. We have a responsibility, Mr. Speaker, to protect our Constitution and promote democratic governance of the Republic of Kenya. Mr. Speaker, we have our Constitution, we have laws in this country, and we have to continue working, we have to be together, and we are telling, because I had our opposition saying that they are not going to participate in the election. I want to give them an example. Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah of Kikuyu, he was not opposed. So he was sworn in as an opposed. So if Raila is coming in or not, we are going to swear the President of the Republic and is going to continue working for this country. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Chepkut. That is not how it is done, Honorable Chepkut. You will proceed. You are okay now. Just use it in that manner.
Mr. Speaker, sir, thanks. Mr. Speaker, My name's William Chepkutarap Chirchir. Because I've been given 5 minutes, I want all of you not to interrupt.
Well,
Mr. Speaker, sir, I offer my heartfelt congratulations to the right Justin Muturi for having been elected as the National Speaker of the National Assembly for the 12th Parliament. Secondly, I wish to congratulate you for having been elected unopposed as the Deputy Speaker, and all the honorable members of the 12th Parliament who are elected and they were sworn in. Now, let me say something about the presidential speech. My names are William Chepkutarap Chirchir, MB for Ainapkoi, and may I take this opportunity, and it is indeed a singular honor, to thank each and every one individual who voted me in Ainapkoi to be in this August House. I thank all of them. It is me, the only human soul alive, who defeated the Constitution and Legal Affairs Chairman, Samuel Chepkonga. The will of the people was expressed, and it was indeed respected. That's why I'm standing here today to contribute. The President of the Republic of Kenya gave an outstanding speech. He is the President, CGH, Commander-in-Chief of the Defense Forces of the Republic of Kenya, and I've known him. But the following, I'm going to encourage each one of you that let's go and campaign for the President on the platform of the following. 1, his unity in diversity and development agenda. 2, the 10th Parliament delivered the new Constitution. Our 11th Parliament indeed implemented and enriched the devolution institutional framework for delivering
to take that one. I'm having a lot of difficulties, but I still know that we'll be able to have all the members speaking here because we still have a few 1.5 hours. Let me go to this. Yes, I haven't actually taken Kisi and probably Mandera, but let's start with the member for Nyaribari. Is it Nyaribari Chache?
Chache, yes, sir.
Proceed.
But we are working hard to increase. Mr. Speaker, my colleagues, as you've heard, my name is Richard, Honorable Richard Nyagakatongi, the Member of Parliament of Nyaribari Chache, constituent found in Kisii County. On the onset, I want to take this opportunity to congratulate the Speaker of the National Assembly for the victory, well deserved, I want to take this opportunity to congratulate you, my Deputy Speaker, for your victory, for going in unopposed. You have served Kenya well, and that's why nobody saw it fit to challenge you because of your leadership skills and that your contributions in the last Parliament. I want to take this opportunity to congratulate my people of Nyaribari Chache for the chance once again they have given me to serve the people of Nyaribari Chache as a member of Parliament. The short period I was a member of Parliament, having come in through a by-election, was a short period, and I was able to deliver quite a number of projects, which I want to appreciate. And it's on that account that I want to say that the President, Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, and his deputy have served this country with a lot of dedication and hard work, and they have been able to start projects which requires to be completed. And as a manager and as a leader, I know there is power in consistency. There is power in consistency, and that's why if you want to achieve development, you need to give a leader reasonable time to be able to accomplish that he has started. Our president and the deputy president have started a number of projects in the country, and they have appreciated the fact that education is the only equalizer we have in this country. If a child who is bright from a poor family gets an opportunity to excel in their education without having to hold back their potential because of challenges of the family, because of financial challenges and the needs of families, that will be a good way to help the country to grow to the next level. We are going to have from next year free education both in primary and secondary, and I think that will be a good opportunity for every child in Kenya to achieve their full potential, because all of us, our dreams are valid. Mr. Speaker, when the President spoke and he gave his speech this week, I think he made some points very clear to all of us. He truly has the interest of Kenya at heart, and he cares about the quality of life that Kenyans are going to have going forward. And he spoke on issues which I think touches on every family in Kenya. He spoke on issue of cash transfer for the old people. Our people who are old have not enjoyed their life because the money they're getting is not enough, and the opportunities they have to earn a living are not as many. And therefore, we have a duty as a government, we have a duty as a people to ensure that these people are being taken care of, we are providing for their needs, and we are going to help them to also live a quality life just like any other Kenyan. The President spoke on health issues, and he said that we have a duty as a nation to ensure that the quality of education, quality of health is given to all, regardless of your social status, regardless of your economic status, so that all of us, when there's a need for treatment, when there's a need for medical services, you're able to access it without having to look back at and say, where am I going to get this money to pay for my medical needs? Mr. Speaker, I have, as a teacher, as a former teacher, I cannot emphasize more on the need of quality education, because the only opportunity that the son of a peasant has to compete with the son of a king is through education. And we know good education is costly, and when we have a government thinking on ensuring that every child who needs education is not only getting, but is going to get quality education, I think that's the beginning of development in an economy, that's the beginning of development in any country, and we support the President for that vision. And we are going to vote him and vote him to the last man. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honorable member, second from, yes, that's yourself. Proceed, you have the mic now. Yeah. You have the mic. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, my name is Malimo Arbele. I'm the Honorable Member of Parliament from Leisamis. Mr. Speaker, first and foremost, I would like to thank the Almighty God.
Kindly also put your name in the mic so that it's recorded.
Pardon?
Your name, please. You introduce the constituency.
I actually did say.
Okay, proceed.
Mr. Speaker, just to repeat again, I said my name is Malimo Arbele. I'm the Honorable Member of Parliament for Leisamis. Mr. Speaker, first and foremost, I would like to thank the Almighty God for the great favor He has bestowed on me to serve the people of Leisamis constituency. Mr. Speaker, I also would like to express my gratitude to the people of Leisamis constituency for the great honor and respect accorded to me to serve them as their representative in the August House of the 12th Parliament. Mr. Speaker, I reaffirm my total commitment to serve my people faithfully and diligently due to the fact that whoever much is given, much is expected. Mr. Speaker, I also would like to congratulate you and Speaker Justin Muturi for your appointment. Mr. Speaker, let me also take this opportunity to congratulate each and every honorable member of this House for having been elected in their respective constituencies. Finally, Mr. Speaker, let me also congratulate our President, His Excellency Honorable Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, for his dynamic leadership to propel this country, great nation, to greater heights of prosperity, particularly for uniting the people of Kenya. Mr. Speaker, I want to remind the leaders that our ethnic diversity should be taken as strength and not as a threat. Mr. Speaker, I support and acknowledge the speech, which was very much inspiring, the President's speech, and it emphasized so much on the issue of peace, security, and fostering national unity. Mr. Speaker, in line with this, the presidential speech, I wish to point out that the community I represent, the Rendille community, are actually pastoralists who keep on moving from one place to another in search of water and green pastures. Mr. Speaker, due to the devastating drought currently experienced in the country, particularly in those parts of the country, like Leisamis constituency, my people have moved to neighboring county of Samburu. Mr. Speaker, my people's livelihood and existence entirely depend on livestock. Mr. Speaker, while they were there in Samburu County, my people have been attacked by heavily armed bandits who managed to kill 4 people and scores of people injured, and an unknown number of animals were stolen. Mr. Speaker, I therefore urge the relevant ministries to take this matter seriously and provide necessary assistance to my people, especially as we prepare for the presidential election. Mr. Speaker, in order to have a lasting solution to this perennial conflict among the pastoralist communities, I think it is worth to invest in technological gadgets similar to the ones used by the vehicles for the purpose of tracking them when they are stolen, so that we can be able to track the animals wherever, in case they are stolen. Mr. Speaker, it is the high time that the Ministry of Livestock and Internal Security should work hand in hand together to invest in latest technology in stamping out this menace of cattle rustling. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think I'm the only member who has taken the shortest possible time.
Very well. Member for Nakuru Town East.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Gikaria David, Nakuru Town East constituency. I take this opportunity to thank the great people of Nakuru Town East for giving me a second opportunity to be able to represent them in this. Mr. Speaker, sir, let me also thank you for having been elected and opposed as the Deputy Speaker. Okay. Where were Alice? Anyway, Mr. Speaker, first let me start. We've been in this parliament in the 11th parliament, and we had great speech from the president, several of them. And yes, when he came here just the other day, it was one of the best. It actually superseded the others. And when you look at our constitution and Article 10, exactly what is said under the principles, the values and principles, I think that is exactly what he said. But Mr. Speaker, I will start with what we are seeing in the judiciary. Mr. Speaker, here in Parliament, if you have to pass a very critical, crucial bill or motion, it must get a 2/3 approval of Parliament. And not 2/3 of those sitting, it is 2/3. It has a number. Then it is so unfair that the judiciary, when I was doing my calculation, 4 people out of 7 is 57%. And I think it's the high time we started looking at the critical aspect of us having a law to tell that the Supreme Court cannot make such a crucial decision if they are not 2/3 also. And I think people are now starting to say, you know, Kenyans or Jubilee is trying to start amending the laws, and, you know, we are not going to gag the judiciary, but we are going to ask Parliament and indeed Honorable Duale to start thinking on how we can we can do some amendment and be able to have that. I look at Article 141, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Article 141, where is my, oh, here it is. Mr. Speaker, if you look at Article 141, says that, there it is, the swearing in of the president-elect shall be in public before the Chief Justice or, in the absence of the Chief Justice, the Deputy Chief Justice. Mr. Speaker, just the other day, I want to believe that judiciary was invited to the state opening of the 12th Parliament. And they skipped. And it was by design. Mr. Speaker, looking at the proceedings at the judiciary, at the Supreme Court, if you look at the 4, they are the only ones who are asking so many questions.
It was refreshing because he touched on the pillars that hold our country together. If you look at this building, Mr. Speaker, sir, you will see and know that we are comfortably seated here because there are pillars that hold this building together. Without these pillars, no one will want to sit here because the building might and will collapse. Similarly, the President knows that this country cannot stand together without some key pillars that he highlighted in his speech, in his refreshing speech. He spoke about the rule of law. And what I like about our President is that he leads by example. And we all know that a few years ago, he was summoned, like he reminded us the other day, to go to a foreign court, and he willingly obeyed and submitted himself. And so we should do likewise. So I say the speech was refreshing because he again spoke about women empowerment, and I am very happy that from Kirinyaga we have produced a woman governor, and we're going to support that. It's refreshing because he spoke about sovereignty of our people, or the people of Kenya. And it's refreshing because he spoke about unity and he spoke about peace. And these are the ideals that we should cherish.
Piga siasa kwa njia ya heshima na utu uzima, na akatuelezea vizuri ya kwamba siasa ni mchezo ya siku moja, baada ya hiyo maisha itaendelea kama kawaida. Kitu ambayo ningependa kuelezea watu wetu wa NASA ni kwamba sisi tunawaomba wakuje kwa bunge tuweze kushiriki katika mijadala na miswada ya kujenga nchi na kupeleka nchi mbele. Na tunakemea pepo ambayo ni ya fitina, pepo ambayo ni uchochezi, na pepo ambayo ni ukabila. Mimi nikisimama hapa nasimama kwa heshima zote kama mtu ambaye from minority amechaguliwa Laikipia, area ambayo kabila yetu sio wengi, na ningependa kuwaelezea watu wetu kutoka Northeastern waangalie na wafuate Jubilee kikamilifu, Mheshimiwa Rais ametupatia nafasi ya utumishi, Jubilee wametupatia nafasi, na tuko hapa kutetea serikali ya Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. Wakati wote tunaamini uongozi unatoka kwa Mwenyezi Mungu, na hata kwa lugha yetu ya nyumbani tunasema otogoria umaga kwe gai. Mwenyezi Mungu ndiye anapeana uongozi na anapeana kwa sababu zake. Na tunaamini ya kwamba itawezekana, kwa sababu mitungi ambayo kina mama wamekuwa kibeba miaka yote, wao ndo wametuzaa, wao ndo wametulea, na wao ndo wametuelimisha. Hiyo mitungi tuliomba nafasi ya kuja kuondolea kwa migongo yao, na itawezekana kwa uwezo wa Mwenyezi Mungu, nguvu zake zote. Mheshimiwa Rais alipokuja hapa alisema kinaganaga ya kwamba yeye bado ako katika usukani. Kenya haina pengo ya uongozi, na ameonyesha dunia nzima siasa ambazo zimekuwa zikiendelea pale ni siasa ya mgawanyiko, lakini katika bunge tuko pamoja. Jubilee tuko na numbers zinatosha kuendelesha biashara yetu ya Kenya. Kwa hivyo ningependa kuwashukuru sana watu wa Laikipia tena, nikiwaambia mtuweke katika maombi. Tumekuja kufanya kazi, hatujakuja kupiga siasa ya uchochezi na ukabila. Tumekuja kujenga nchi, kwa sababu hata katika maandiko yanasema ya kwamba sisi wote ni wana wa Mwenyezi Mungu. Tuko hapa kumtumikia na kuhakikisha tumewakilisha watu wetu kikamilifu. Asanteni sana, Mungu awabariki.
The Honorable Lady Member.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. My name is Jennifer Shamala, nominated MP for Special Interests. I first wish to give Yahweh Elohim all praise, all glory, and all honor. It is his doing, and it is indeed marvelous in our eyes. I congratulate the Speaker, Justin Muturi, and you, Deputy Speaker, for your elections. I want to also thank the members of the Jubilee Party for your incredible campaigns. If it was not for you, we, the nominated MPs, would not be here. I thank you profoundly. I thank the people of Kenya who voted for you. I want to honor my father, Japheth Galagati Shamala. He represented the people of Shinyalu in this august House. With regards to the President's speech, we are assured when he tells us that all arms of government are intact, all arms of state are intact, and indeed they are. He is the head of the state, head of state. He is the head of government. He is the head of the defense forces. And he has assured us that everything is intact. The Constitution never envisaged a situation where there would be a lacuna. I commend the President's remarks on devolution. Indeed, the Constitution of 2010 was enacted in that year, and it was the 11th Parliament that delivered an entrenched devolution. We recognize that all sovereign power, which belongs to the people of Kenya, is exercised at both national and devolved levels. So any call for nusu mukati or nusu inchi is unacceptable. In fact, any attempt to form a government that is not in compliance with this Constitution is unlawful as per the Constitution of Kenya. I want to also thank the President for acknowledging that we must indeed increase the numbers of women in national leadership. I pray as we continue in the 12th Parliament for this country, because the destiny of this nation is indeed truly great.
Very well, let's have the member for Kipkelion West.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. And before I make a few remarks, let me begin by thanking the people of Kipkelion West for finding it fit to elect me to represent them in this 12th Parliament, and to promise and pledge that I will do everything within my power to make sure that they get the services that they need direly. Having said that, Mr. Speaker, I want to congratulate you, and especially the Speaker, J.B. Muturi, and to congratulate His Excellency the President and his deputy for winning resoundingly on August 8th, and to assure the people of Kipkelion West, whom I represent, that their victory will not go in vain, and that on the 17th of October, we shall do it again in a bigger number than we did before. Mr. Speaker, having come to this Parliament as new members, we are beginning to get used to the theatrics, the gymnastics, and the embarrassing methods of leadership that our opponents in the opposition are using. An opposition that asks its members of the National Assembly not to appear to elect a speaker, and then goes ahead to send the same members to participate in voting in the Senate. Some of us, Mr. Speaker, come from constituencies where service delivery matters. For them, as I was told by one member, Mr. Speaker, lying on tarmac defending Baba secures you for re-election. Mr. Speaker, we are in this House to continue the good journey that was begun by the Jubilee administration in 2013, the journey of transformation, the journey of development, and the journey of progress. And I want to congratulate the President and his deputy, and to assure him and the nation that I cannot be more proud to be associated with the Jubilee Party, Mr. Speaker. A party that is focused in bringing development all the way to the rural constituencies. We have stories of new tarmac roads going to villages which have never seen tarmac since independence. That's the progress of Jubilee. I'm proud, Mr. Speaker, that I'm joining this 12th Parliament at a time when we are opening up our economy. The standard gauge railway is now moving to a second phase to Naivasha and then ultimately to Kisumu. I'm looking forward to the leadership of His Excellency the President in further opening up the country, giving out probably the areas in the coast for companies to come and manufacture products for the African market here in Kenya, so that we can build and prosper our economy. And having said that, Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the President for his speech, because the pillars of his speech was security, peace, and respect of the rule of law. And Mr. Speaker, when the President in his speech said that we are headed to a new election on the 17th, he was expressing the highest respect for the Constitution and the rule of law in this country. In a continent where no head of state can imagine going back to an election after winning by a margin of more than 1.5 million. So, Mr. Speaker, we are ready for this election on 17th, and it doesn't matter what our opponents say. I never voted on August 8th because Raila agreed. So when he says there will be no voting on 17th, I want to ask him whether it's the ballot paper I'm going to mark, or is the ballot box where I'm going to drop my ballot, or is he the van which will carry my ballot to the returning officer in Kipkelion West. This election will go on, Mr. Speaker. We shall vote in President Kenyatta, and proudly he will be sworn in by...
Now let's go to Mandera and have Mandera East.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. My name is Honorable Omar Mohammed, MP Mandera East. Mandera East is the farthest end of Kenya, and it is where we have border point 1. And I pray that members from Mandera pick the eye of the Speaker as priority 1. Mr. Speaker, sir, I want to take this early opportunity to thank God Almighty for making it possible for me to be in the August House, and also thank the people of Mandera East for voting for me as Member of Parliament, and also thanking them because I was the Deputy Governor in devolution. Mr. Speaker, sir, the President's speech was a statesman's speech. He pointed out the role played by young men and women of Kenya in nation building. And the youth make over 75% of the Kenyan population, and it is only wise that we appreciate the role they play in nation building. Mr. Speaker, sir, the President also noted or appreciated the role played by the 11th Parliament in the effective speed in which they have passed bills related to devolution. And I must commend that because I was in the first county governments and I know what devolution has done to the people of Kenya. On security, the President said, and I quote, "For my part, I know that my most serious obligation is to sustain and protect the peace and security of all our people without exception." Mr. Speaker, where there's no peace and security, there's no nation. And I think that everybody, all as Kenyans, we must appreciate that without security, nothing can work. For people of Mandera, we have had the most difficult times in issues of insecurity, and I really wanted the actions by the government to come out in terms of what real actionable points that the government intends to do in regards to border security. And I really want to say that we need more effort in making sure that the security of northern Kenya is guaranteed by the state. Mr. Speaker, sir, the President also put on notice hate mongers. And I was very proud when he said, irrespective of which party you come from, we will not entertain issues of hate speech, issues of turning communities against each other. That was very commendable, and I take that as one of the best things that the President has really said. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
I have the famous circumciser. I'm sorry, Honorable Member for Buhuri.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. First, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Lady Kiri Mugambi Muridhania, Member of Parliament of Bole Constituency. Indeed, this is a good opportunity for me that the people of Bole gave and elected me as their Member of Parliament. Let me first thank the Almighty God for keeping me alive with my gray hair from age 13, and I'm very proud the way I am. I want to congratulate Mr. Speaker for being elected to spearhead the business of this House. I want to congratulate the Majority Leader and the Chief Whip for their elevation so that they can continue conducting the business of this House in order. Let me thank the people of Bole for giving me this opportunity to serve them. It is indeed a very humbling experience. I represent the largest constituency in Meru County. I represent a constituency that can be described as Kenya, because all the 42 tribes, ethnic groups, they are represented in my constituency. Specifically, one of my campaign managers was from Western Kenya, and my secretary was a gentleman from Nyanza. I'm so proud of leading this constituency. They elected me on a Jubilee ticket and strictly following the Jubilee Manifesto. I was not opposed during the nomination, giving me the privilege of representing to them as a representative of our President, Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. We have issues at our constituency, specifically water, and I would like to bring to the attention of this House 3/4 of my constituency for the last 2 years, we haven't experienced any single lane. So, Mr. Speaker, when we are trying to derail the business of the government, those of us who come from Western Kenya or near the lake, they see a lot of water. They don't see what happens to us. And I say this, those of us who have never been on top of the mountain cannot see what is happening on the plains. Mr. Speaker, let me state that Bole people solidly are behind the president, and come the 17th, we will vote for him. In Kimeru, we say the day of circumcision is never postponed. So on 17th, we shall prove that we have done our part for the president. Ladies and members of the House, let me congratulate you for making it this far. It's not easy. For our president, I have a word for him. I believe in the Bible. The book of Luke, chapter 13, verse 31 to 38. When the Pharisees wanted to kill him, Jesus replied like this: "Go and tell that fox, I will not leave Jerusalem today, tomorrow, or the day after that, until I accomplish what God has sent him to do." So I'm saying today, go and tell our competitors, Uhuru will be the president of Kenya, because we believe in the power of God. Let me say, the president touched on security. I border Isiolo, our constituent borders like Laikipia, east and west at one point. And we have a lot of issues of insecurity. So when the president touches on issue of security, I feel that the nerve of my heart has been touched when I see people who are not sensitive to the issues at the community level talking. We have issues of water. We have issues of youth. We have issues of roads, energy. And that's what we promised my constituents that we shall do. So I will leave here to retreat back to Bole to ensure that our president is re-elected on 17th. And I ask all these members who are here, let's roll our sleeves, let's put on our landing gear, we go and vote back our president. I've known the president from 2002, he considered defeat. I've known him 2007, he took time to reflect. 2013, he was elected. 2017, he is being tested again. That is a man who has been tested, and that is the best president of the Republic of Kenya. Let those who sleep on the road do continue. Let's continue with the tested leader, Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. Thank you very much.
Very well. the gracious lady from Kandara, Honorable Alice.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. For record, Mr. Speaker, my name is Honorable Aris Muthoni Wahome, MP Kandara constituency. Mr. Speaker, I want to take this opportunity and join my colleagues to congratulate the Speaker and yourself for being elected to this House to be the Speakers of the National Assembly. Mr. Speaker, then I thank the people of Kandara most sincerely so for giving me a second term. Mr. Speaker, it was not easy. I'm sure my colleagues, all of them who are here, would agree with me that we fought a major battle. Our elections, some of us have petitions, but most importantly, Mr. Speaker, and it should go on record on the Hansard, that Murang'a County, Mr. Speaker, has produced 3 constituency women, the Honorable Ruth Mwaniki Kegumo, the Honorable Mary Waithera Maragwa, and the Honorable Aris Wahome, addressing you, Mr. Speaker, and Mama County, the Honorable Sabina Chege for the county. That is 4 women out of 8 units. Mr. Speaker, I believe we have met the 2/3 gender principle, and therefore join His Excellency the President to say that we must also support women leadership, and I thank him for the support that he gave women. Mr. Speaker, I know you are a supporter of women leadership, and I know we shall miss Mr. Speaker's contributions in the lobby, the members' lobby or residence. Mr. Speaker, let me look at the issue before us, the address to this National Assembly by the head of state. Mr. Speaker, our colleagues have boycotted, according to them, they have boycotted this House attendance. Mr. Speaker, but if we look at the list at the door, Mr. Speaker, this morning, Mr. Speaker, I've seen the Honorable Shabil, I've seen the Honorable Member of Parliament for Women Member of Parliament, Pasaris for Nairobi. I have seen Wanyonyi. I have seen Chris Wamarwa. Mr. Speaker, I have seen Gladys Wanga. Mr. Speaker, I have seen Miri Othiambo. Mr. Speaker, we must tell the Kenyans that it is work they are avoiding, but they are also ensuring that their job is secure. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, critically, there is a level of dishonesty, Mr. Speaker, and I beg to use that language because if critically and clearly they are not attending Parliament, then, Mr. Speaker, they should be not signing so that the repercussions of failure to attend the National Assembly, Mr. Speaker, can take effect. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, let us recognize, Mr. Speaker.
She's only mentioning members.
I have mentioned members, Mr. Speaker. I think we need to load. We need to load.
What is it, Honorable Anjala? You see, you are.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker.
Order, Honorable Nganga.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Wahome.
Yeah, sorry. Mr. Speaker, Honorable Raphael Wanjala, Budalangi MP. And Mr. Speaker, I'm in ODM party under the affiliate of NASA. And
I don't want you to give your speech. I want you to give.
And I'm in this house, Mr. Speaker, but I've heard the honorable member for Kandara insinuating that we are not attending Parliament. I want Mr. Speaker to withdraw and apologize.
No, I don't think she will need to do that because he did not mention you really.
Yeah, but she mentioned, I was included in that mentioning, and yet I'm here. I want to be excluded, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you,
Let's
Mr.
hear
Speaker.
What Honorable.
She was so general, and I'm here.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think the honorable member needs recognition and applaud for actually fulfilling his constitutional duty. Yes, Mr. Speaker, can we also allow my good Honorable Niaka there, Munias West, I think, is in the House. Mr. Speaker, what we are saying is that let a spade be called a spade. If they are not, those who are not attending, they must tell the Kenyans that they are also coming here secretly and signing the members' roll. Then, Mr. Speaker, on the President's duty and mandate, it is a constitutional mandate to actually address this National Assembly, and his agenda was very short in the style that he's used to of humility. Mr. Speaker, the head of state kept his speech to the National Assembly to what is necessary. Mr. Speaker, there was decorum in the House in the absence of some members who have been used or who are used to throwing water. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, on that kind of a day, we are not missing them. But most important, Mr. Speaker, is that actually this House cannot be held hostage by people who think that by their failure to attend, while they are attending a rally in Kibra, where they are entertaining themselves and imagining that they are actually heads of state. Madam Speaker, the House will not be held hostage. And therefore, I want to commend my colleagues for attending and being here, Mr. Speaker, and that the business of this National Assembly must continue. The people of Kandara, I respect your service and I will deliver as we agreed. Thank you very much, Mr.
Honorable
Speaker.
Member for Kiambu. Yes, not Kiamba, Kiambu County.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. My name is Gathoniwa Mushoba from the great county of Kiambu. And I have really waited for this opportunity to say these great words. First of all, I want to congratulate everybody who is in this House for having been elected to serve in this House. I also want to congratulate you, Bwana Speaker, for being elected as the Deputy Speaker. And I do believe that by the grace of God, we are going to execute what has been given as our mandate. I want to take this opportunity first to thank the great people of Kiambu for giving me the opportunity to serve them as a woman leader and to serve them in humility. And I do believe, by the favor of God, I'm going to execute that mandate and to meet their expectations. I also want to thank God for giving me the favor to be able to be here today as the county woman rep for Kiambu. And I do believe that by God's grace, we are going to execute what is ahead of us. First, I want to congratulate the President, His Excellency the President, for being strong, even after having been humiliated through the Supreme Court ruling that really took away the great meat that he was expecting to chew. In the review of the presidential speech, which was delivered in this very House, I wish to acknowledge that the President, in his speech, recognized God in his great wisdom, and actually, by recognizing God, he outlined that it's only through God that we can be able to be victorious, and it's only through God that we can be able to be peaceful. And he went on and urged us to be able to be the catalyst of peace and unity in our country. In his speech, he clearly outlined that he's a humble man in humility, and he actually showed his humility through the acceptance of the ruling that was given by the Supreme Court. This is a virtue that actually makes me very humble. And I do believe that through this humility, we are going to win our enemies. He also emphasized that we should be able to be the examples of giving service that is expected from us by our people. And as he spoke, I remember the great words that I read in the book that is written by one of the great wisdom-oriented writer known as John Mason. John Mason has always said that legacy is the only pillar of life that you can create through excellence. The legacy of excellence in service is something that we all need to cultivate, especially when we are elected as members of parliament and members of the Senate and even county governors, so that we can be able to create that legacy. He requested us as leaders to make sure that we deliver in service so that we can create that legacy. And that is why all of us look towards to doing that. Mr. Speaker, sir, I want to thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to give my maiden speech and to thank the great people of Kiambu for honoring me. Thank you very much.
Honorable Mrs. Kones.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I want to take this opportunity to thank the Almighty God for having given me a chance and for blessing me to be in this house through the people of Bomet East. I'm Honorable Beatrice Kones, Member of Parliament for Bomet East, and I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate you and the Speaker of the National Assembly for being elected to head this assembly in the 10th Parliament. Mr. Speaker, sir, I also want to congratulate the people of Bomet for voting for me and giving me another chance to serve them in the 12th Parliament. Mr. Speaker, sir, I also want to thank and congratulate all the members of Parliament for being elected to the August House. And I want to take this opportunity to thank the people of Bomet for producing a woman governor, Dr. Joyce Laboso, who was also the former Deputy Speaker of the 11th Parliament, serving in this House. Mr. Speaker, sir, on the President's speech, I want to join my colleagues in applauding the President for the wonderful speech he gave during the state opening of the 11th Parliament. He gave confidence to the people of this country, and at least he emphasized that there is no vacuum in leadership. I want to thank the people of Kenya for turning up in large numbers on 8th of August, when they came and voted in President Uhuru Kenyatta as the president of choice for the people of this country. And I thank the President for respecting the ruling of the Supreme Court. And once again, he has embarked on his campaign to beg forth from the people of Kenya. And I really want to urge my colleagues, anytime we are out of this city, when we go back to our respective constituencies, we want to urge our people to turn up in large numbers on the 17th of October, to vote overwhelmingly to Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta to be our next president so that he can complete his second term. Mr. Speaker,
our people, peace, security, and prosperity. I stand here today, Mr. Speaker, sir, to say that our people are expecting us to deliver, and that is why they woke up very early to go to the ballot. As you see, the NASA people, they have decided to be coming here, sneaking in and signing in to make sure that they get their salaries. They should know that their people are watching and God is watching. They will get the salaries, yes, but they should know they never worked for it. As they try to make problem for this country, they should know we are pushing forward, trying to make sure that development happens in Kenya, not to pull down our country, but to make sure that our country moves forward. As they try to pull us back, we will march forward, and we will work very hard to make sure that this 12th parliament we will achieve even more than the previous parliaments did achieve. I also would want to thank the people of Kenya for also applauding even the president for considering the gender balance, and also for the women that were elected. I would like to congratulate them as I congratulate the other members of parliament, because it is not very a normal and usual thing for a woman to fight against women and emerge victorious. Congratulations to the women members that had to go through the bout with the men. Distinguished members, I would also want to hope that we will be able in this parliament to bring forth bills that will be helping us in the maternal health, the agriculture. Where I come from, in Mwea, in Kirinyaga County, we have a problem with issues with agriculture, health, and also infrastructure. I hope we will be able to bring to completion a lot of projects that were begun or promised that did not happen. I thank you very much, and God bless you.
Agua.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. I would like first to thank the Almighty God for giving me this opportunity to be elected by people of Starehe constituency. Mr. Speaker, sir, I also want to thank the people of Starehe for trusting a youthful leader against all odds. They stood firm and voted overwhelmingly. This is indeed rare in Kenya. I promise that I will never let them down. I'm aware that majority of the Starehe constituents, and for those who don't know, Starehe constituency ndio inashikilia mpaka bunge, Nairobi, CBD, kwa hivyo mimi ndiye landlord hapa. Kuna shida mingi sana tuko nazo kama wakaaji wa Starehe na Nairobi, as you all know, city traffic, markets, the big markets in Kenya, all of them ziko Starehe. And when I was asking for votes, niliambia watu wa Starehe, I'll make sure I'll be a link.
There will be no interruptions. He's making his maiden speech. But you know, as a speaker, I can easily point out that we should always proceed in the same language which you started. So let's proceed. You know, there is a, proceed, honorable member. But nobody will interrupt you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
You are doing your maiden speech.
As I was saying, Mr. Speaker, I was telling honorable members that I'm the landlord of this house kwa sababu Parliament iko Starehe constituency.
I want to repeat again, there will be no interruptions other than that members must speak from the language which they started using when they started addressing the House. Oh. So nobody will interrupt Honorable Jagwa at all.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also want to thank the Starehe people for trusting a youthful leader against all odds. They stood firm and voted me overwhelmingly. This is indeed very rare in Kenya. I promise I will not let them down. I'm keenly aware of hope, aspiration, and challenges they face in this city. I'm also aware majority of the city dwellers are poor and unemployed. I will do my utmost best to create a conducive environment to do business and create jobs for the youth of this country. Mr. Speaker, sir, the government, as you all know, before I joined politics, I came from the music industry. I'm the one who sang the song Kigeugeu, and she can tell you, Honorable Speaker, how hard it is even to create a music video. And it's only in Kenya, Mr. Speaker, where an artist can produce a song in the morning and go to the studio, record, and have the song played in the afternoon. And in the evening, when you're going home, you get a pirate selling you the same song that you produced in the morning. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, we need to look at that because I believe we can create employment and give hope to the hopeless youths who are out there. Mr. Speaker, sir, in conclusion, I want to say that we have only one country called Kenya, and it's one of the best places to live in this world. Let us not divide it through petty politics and shenanigans. This country is bigger than all of us. Leadership is not a privilege, it's a responsibility.
Your time is over. Let me give the member for Moyale. Moyale. Member for Moyale.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let me take this opportunity to thank all members of Parliament who are elected and present here, and also congratulate the Speaker for that big victory which he has gone, and you as a Deputy Speaker being unopposed. Let me also take this opportunity, Mr. Speaker, to thank the people of Moyale for electing young, vibrant man, Honorable Kalicha Gufu Wario, for the vision he has for Moyale constituency. I really am proud of them. Moyale is known for quite some times for clashes. I am calling upon them, let us keep peace. Peace is very, very important in anything that one does. Without peace, our constituency or Kenya at large cannot prosper. The economy will not do very well. And I also thank the people from Marsabit County, purposely because majority, actually 90% voted for His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta, and I'm very sure comes 17th of October, they will also actually improve and even vote 100%, and if possible, even 1 or 2%. That is the trust we have in Uhuru. And this is simply because of the following. He's a humble person. Is the kind of person actually who looks at the poor, especially the marginalized, the pastoralists who are marginalized in previous regime. We are seeing the fruit of his leadership. And in his speech, actually, I listened very keenly. He said he did not agree with the court ruling, but he respects the law. And that's basically why he has decided to accept the ruling and ready to go for another election. And that is what we expect from a leader who has been voted by majority. On that particular day, when actually the ruling was done, we saw a lot of people dancing, leaving their homes, and I was just asking myself, if really the other side is really elected, what will happen to Kenya? People need to actually, even victory, you have to actually appreciate and thank God and try to be humble and console people, because other people may not, they might even kill themselves because of happiness. But I think the kind of leadership that Honorable Uhuru has shown us is actually to be very courageous, patient, and also love, peace, and unity. He said, remember your neighbors, don't try to throw stone, while other people are saying do this and this, and maybe even saying the country will not go ahead if I'm not elected. As a pastoralist and as a people, as an elected leader from a community or region which are neglected in the past, what I want to see is actually somebody who will tell us is going to tarmac this road from this place to this place, drill boreholes for our livestock or for our people, build the schools and employ more teachers. We don't want to see a leader who say, if not me, then the country will not go ahead. And that is actually what Uhuru Kenyatta has shown us, and I'm very sure the pastoralist community in this country will be behind him comes the 17th. But the only thing which I want to say is that actually there's a severe drought in the country at the moment, and it's only maybe the disturbance of the court that has not allowed our president to mention about the drought or what the government is intending to do. But even that one, I'm very sure if we approach him, which we have already done, is going to handle in a most appropriate way. And
Member for Kajiado North. Kajiado North.
Thank you, Speaker, for giving me this chance. First, I take this opportunity to thank the people of Kajiado North for giving me another chance to serve them in this 12th Parliament. I want also to take this opportunity to congratulate you and the Speaker for being elected as Speakers and Deputy Speaker of this National Assembly. Turning to the presidential address of the first presidential address to the 12th Parliament, I want to say it was a good address. At least it was an address that really was geared towards peace, security, and prosperity of this country. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the President for being a very humble man, a sign of and a symbol of our country that unifies us. I want to say he operates under very tough condition, and is the only president who has ever been maybe overturned. His decision or the will of the people have been overturned in a country. Mr. Speaker, I want to touch some few issues where very big repercussion in this country. Mr. Speaker, if you remember in the ruling or in the judgment, the judge of the Supreme Court said he was not auditing an event, it was a process. But I wanted to think it was, actually the petition was about that event of 8th August. It is not the process because the whole process started a long time ago. So I think in that he held, and that's why we cannot agree on in him and the decision. Also, for those who have done statistics, like me, I have done statistics, there is always a level of confidence where you agree a certain statistical is acceptable. If, for example, you consider the polling stations that we had in the country, 40,883. If you make an error in about 200 polling stations, you can agree that election was correct and fair to a certain percentage. To 95% confidence level, it was clear. Therefore, I don't think they benefit from the analysis of statistics that should have been accepted. Speaker, I want also to touch a bit on the independence institution that we have in the country. It has taken us time to come up with an independence institution. They have to be independent and seen to be independent and appreciate their independence. But if they're interfered with by external forces, then they will not be independent. IEBC is supposed to conduct free and fair election. But remember, immediately after that election, the chairman of IEBC had a press conference, and he said he will invite the DPP to investigate IEBC before he comes up with a conclusion. But later he wrote a memo, meaning that he did not wait for DPP. He had some information from the ruling, and actually he victimized some people, meaning that he knows exactly what was going on in the Supreme Court. And most likely this outcome would vindicate what we are talking about. Mr. Speaker, the constituency that I represent was represented by a great man in this country, Professor George Saitoti, and once he said, there comes a time where a country is greater than individual. But we have allowed the leader of the opposition to continue misleading this country. What now he's doing is radicalizing other Kenyans to behave like him. If you listen to the pronouncements that are being made by other members of parliament in this country, like the member of parliament, Embakasi East, Babu Wino, and the others. And also he's going to an extent of radicalizing women. Member of Parliament, Rikoni Boko, member for Homa Bay, all these are getting radicalized. So immediately he will leave politics after some time, you will have so many Raila Odingas in this country, and the country will be governable. Remember the way they are insulting the president of this country, the former senator of Machakos. He is insulting the commander-in-chief of armed forces of this country. That is unacceptable. They are abusing what unifies us, the presidency. It's like abusing the flag of this country. These are some of the things that unifies the country, and they should never be abused. I want to support this speech and address.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir. First, I want to thank the Almighty God for giving us this opportunity. My name is Generali Nixon Korir, Member of Parliament, Langata Constituency. Mr. Speaker, sir, I want to congratulate you, the Speaker and the Deputy Speaker, the leaders of this House, and the members of Parliament who have been elected to this 12th Parliament. Mr. Speaker, sir, my election as a Member of Parliament, Langata Constituency, is a true indication and representation of the desire of the people of Langata for change and liberation. As you can see, Mr. Speaker, sir, where I'm seated, the bench for Langata constituency has been on this side of the House for a very long time, and I'm still looking for my space on the other side. Mr. Speaker, sir, my election is a true indication that traditional factors like tribalism is fading away, and the modern politics of true vision agenda is coming into place. Mr. Speaker, sir, I want to assure the people of Langata that the opportunity they gave me, and that I will be true to the oath of office I took on 31st, and that I will serve them together with this House to ensure that we have a great constituency and we have a great country indeed. Mr. Speaker, sir, I want to go to the speech of the President, and I want to say, indeed, we have a great President. And his coming to open the Parliament was a true indication that we don't have any vacuum in this country. We don't have power vacuum, or we don't have any lacuna. The President exists, and the President opened this House, and the President is Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. Mr. Speaker, sir, amongst the things the President mentioned, he dwelt mostly on the supremacy of the people of Kenya, the supremacy of the Constitution, and he urged all of us as members of Parliament to remember that we are servants to the people who elected us, and we must remain true to that. Mr. Speaker, sir, I also want to applaud the President for recognizing that whereas we have three arms of government, the judiciary, which is functional, the executive, which is functional, he came here to open the Parliament so that we can have all the three arms of the government operating, and that we don't have any arm of government that is stagnating, that all of us are working. Mr. Speaker, sir, the President reminded us to protect our Constitution, and that the supreme will of the people of Kenya is exercised through the vote, and no one should subvert that. He did mention that a mark on the ballot paper is not just a mark, but the desire of the people of Kenya. If I may quote the President, he said, "The Kenya people expect every arm and institution of the government to work together for them. Parliament directly represents the people, and it is in you, honorable members, who must constantly remind all of us about the needs and aspirations of the people who sent you here." Mr. Speaker, sir, I want to say, as General Nixon Korir, representing the people of Langata, the people of Langata made their choice and elected me on Jubilee Party. That was an indication that they were tired being on the opposition, and they wanted to enjoy the fruits of government. And I want to say that I will work to ensure that they enjoy the fruits of the government. He mentioned the young people, which I'm one of them. Mr. Speaker, sir, as you are aware, majority of Kenyans fall in this bracket of youth. And that means if we can directly deal with their issues and the problems facing them, we'll be dealing with majority of the issues and the problems facing this country. I want to say that I will be one of the partners in this House to champion for that, to ensure that we have a conducive environment for young people, for young women, and the minority of our society, to ensure that we can fix them, we can get opportunities for their employment. We pass legislation that we can create a conducive environment for business so that we can grow and have prosperity in this country. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Honorable Kiaraho.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for giving me this opportunity. First and foremost, let me take this opportunity to congratulate you and the Speaker for having been elected in your respective positions to serve in this 12th Parliament. I would also want to take this very opportunity to thank the people of the constituents, the constituents of Olkarau constituency, for having given me a second chance to serve them for the next 5 years. As you all know, actually in the entire Nyandarua County, I'm the only survivor, I'm the only elected leader who made it back. And I think this did not come by default, and for that confidence the people of Olkarau constituency have shown in me, I actually undertake to serve them diligently and with all that it takes for the next 5 years. Mr. Speaker, sir, considering or taking into account the trend of events, what has been happening from 8th of August to date, to me, I can only say it is very regrettable and very unfortunate, because we have a situation that the president who was elected on the 8th of August, that particular victory was actually snatched from him by the so-called Supreme Court. I say this because, Mr. Speaker, sir, on the 8th of August, I think we have 290 constituencies in this republic of us, and we all went to the poll, and as it happened in my constituency, and I have no doubt whatsoever, this is the same situation in the other constituencies, when the various presiding officers stood to pronounce the various results for the 290 members of parliament, I think the first pronouncement was the tallying for the number of votes the president had gotten in that particular constituency. This, it came to a point when it was contested from some circles, that it came to a point whereby, knowing very well that the president actually had won overwhelmingly, but through the Supreme Court, this was actually overturned. And as far as I'm concerned, even simple common sense would actually state, if there was any issue which was to be contested, we should actually have said, let's have a recount of those ballots in the various constituencies. But this never happened. Mr. Speaker, sir, I must point out, this is actually a clear example. Like, for instance, if you have a child in standard 8 or Form 4 who has been preparing for some exam, you go for that exam, you pass, and you know very well you have passed very well. Then it comes to a point that through some technicalities, you are told that you are win, or you are having passed that particular exam, you have to repeat. I understand what our president has been going through, and one thing I have very much confidence in his speech, there were about 3-4 cardinal points which I picked up, and which actually I think I should point out. First and foremost, it showed a leader who is there to uphold the supremacy of the constituency and its institutions. Secondly, it showed a statesman ready to go to any length to sustain and protect the peace, security of all our people with no exception whatsoever. It also showed a leader who has respect for the rule of law, and this, I think, has been demonstrated by various issues which have happened in this particular country of ours. First, we remember what happened in 2002. Our president conceded defeat. Then we had the other issue of the ICC, whereby they were holding in some foreign courts, and the summons they had been given, they actually acceded to it and went to those foreign courts. And now, what happened in 2017? That is on after the 8th of August. elections. So with all this, all that I can say, I have no doubt whatsoever, come 17th of October, actually we are going to prove, the people of this great nation of Kenya are going to prove that indeed His Excellency, our President, had actually won that election on 8th of August so that we can be able to move our country forward in the right direction. With those few remarks, I say thank you.
Honorable Member for Runyenjes, but you only have 1 minute, and then in the afternoon, when we resume, you will claim your 4 minutes. That is how it happens here. So proceed from where you are.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. Mr. Speaker, as you can realize, this is the first time I am addressing this Parliament. And I know in the history of this country, there has never been another Mokorino addressing Parliament. So I am very happy and delighted. I want to thank God and thank the people of Runyenjes constituency for voting for me. And their decision was a message of trust that I will serve them. And I want to confirm to them that I will serve them diligently and faithfully. So I also want to congratulate you and the Speaker for being elected to lead this House, Mr. Speaker.
Interruption. It's just that our time is over. We will resume in the afternoon and you will have your minutes. It's actually going to be 4 minutes and a half.
Okay.
So other members, honorable members, time being 1 p.m. This House stands adjourned till today, Thursday, September 14, 2017 at 2:30 p.m.